Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is inspired by this, which is my Fender Rarities Stratocaster. I bought this on Tuesday and in the process of buying it, had the opportunity to put it head to head with 20 other Stratocasters, well in excess of 20 other Stratocasters from Fender's range. I was fortunate enough to turn up on a quiet Tuesday morning and so Martin and I at the Guitar Centre Langley set about trying out all of the Stratocasters pretty much that they had in stock. I mean, to be honest, I tried 18 different models and a few permutations of the same one, you know, different guitars but in the same range, and I still didn't touch probably half the number of Stratocasters that were in the store. But in terms of the upper end, top end, more expensive ones, I certainly did, including a PRS Silver Sky as well. So what I thought I'd do in this video is to do a quick tier list. Having played them all back to back, really quickly, I quickly was turning over guitars and Martin was passing me the next one and the next one. I had an opportunity to really go back to back and get a real hands-on difference between the feel of all of the guitars from Fender's Player series right up to this and beyond into a custom shop model as well. And so hopefully this video as a tier list will give you an idea of what features you can expect from each of the different models of Stratocaster that Fender currently offers. I thought it was just a really good opportunity to get this out as quickly as possible so that all of those thoughts are still fresh and I can still remember the feel of each of them. And in the process of doing this, I got it from, you know, in excess of 20 down to a final 5 and then down to a last 3 guitars that I really liked. And I just thought it was a great opportunity to document this. I'm actually kind of sad that I didn't take the camera along with me at the time because I wasn't expecting to try out quite so many. But maybe in a few months' time, if I'm looking for something else, maybe another telly, maybe a Jazzmaster, something like that, maybe it'll be a good opportunity to bring the camera and do a similar thing. But for now, here is my tier list. If you'd like to see more videos on this guitar, you definitely can. Let me know in the comments below and I can definitely sort that out and get that arranged. And also while you're there, let me know your thoughts on my thoughts on this tier list. If you own any of these guitars, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. I will say that even though I was playing guitars from the same range, the same level, for example, you know, 2 Vinteras or different American Professionals, there really was such a difference between all of them. And some of them really worked for me and some of them didn't. And I think it's just something to keep in mind whenever you're buying a guitar. It's difficult to buy online. If you can, get into a store and just find what works for your hands. The other thing I will say is that none of these were bad. These are all pretty good guitars. And if I were to pick one in isolation and play it, I'd probably be very happy. But having that opportunity to try them all next to each other and work out both what I liked and what I felt made a good guitar was really invaluable. So thank you to Martin for that. This isn't a sponsored video, but you guys know I've done a few videos in conjunction with Langley Guitar Centre in the past. And so if you do want to buy any of these guitars, I've played them all and they're available on their website right now. The link to those will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like if you like this video. And now on to the tier list. Hey everybody, so here we go with this tier list. I've got to say, with this I was looking for a specific Strat and a specific sound overall. But I thought I'd just give you my views on the instruments that I tried. Generally it's pretty much what you'd expect. The more expensive ones generally were better, but even between the same model there were certain ones that I loved and certain ones I didn't, varying from things to different woods and different you know, kind of variations of the same model in the same spec, but actually just the instruments themselves. Some pieces of wood felt really good, some pieces just didn't feel great. And there are things that contribute to that, like setup. That was really big. Some of these were set up super low, some of them were set up a little bit higher, and that's even in the same range. So that's important as well. Whoever sets up the guitar last out of the factory, that's going to play a big part in what you're going to get at the end of it. I also tried a PRS Silver Sky and really didn't like that at all. But this is just the Fender instruments that I tried, and Stratocasters. There's one outlier in here, which is the Nashville Player Plus Telly. I thought I'd put that in just because I was looking for something, like I say, that did the in-betweens, so the position 4 as they call it, so the neck pickup and the middle pickup, and also position 2, so the bridge and the neck pickup. Those are the kind of sounds that I was desperately after. I'm not a massive fan of Strats in general. I don't like the other tones. I don't mind the neck tone too much. I don't like the middle pickup on its own. I'm not really bothered by the bridge pickup on its own either. But I chose to put that telly in because I thought I'd try it while I was there and see how it fared in general as a Strat. So here we go. Let's just start in what order? We'll go from the bottom to the top. All right. Any thoughts you have on these, let me know in the comments below, because it's really cool to hear your thoughts on yours and your instruments. So Vintera 60s Road Worn. I would say this is it was a C for me. No, let's go with B. It was a B for me. I love the finish. I think it looks really cool. Much better than the other Road Worn on this list. I think it felt like a pretty resonant guitar, but I didn't love the 60s neck shape on it, despite the fact that the guitar I went for in the end has a 60s neck shape. All of these are slightly different shape profiles, and I didn't love the profile on this one. It was alright. The pickups are not as powerful, or don't have as much about them. Don't have such a great tone as some of the American models. But they did have more of the character I was looking for than some of the cheaper models. So yeah, I'd put that as a B. It's a really solid guitar if you were going to gig it. Vintera 50s Modified. Now this I'd also say was a B. But it was a good B. Maybe that 60s is going to go into the C. Still a good guitar, but... So yeah, the 50s Modified. Slightly more modern profile to the neck. The pickups have a little bit more output. I thought it was a good guitar. It really was a very solid guitar, and if you were to gig it, I think it would be great. Don't really know what it has to do with Vintera that much, to be honest, because it doesn't have the 50s profile. It's been changed effectively. It's like a player upgrade with a change shape neck, say if someone were to sand their neck down a bit. But yeah, it was a good guitar, really resonant. That one, in fact, a lot of the Vinteras, the one thing that spoke to me was the fact that they were very resonant guitars, particularly in the neck. Felt like a lot was going on, really resonant, quite loud acoustically, and none of them were really very heavy either. So great gigging guitars. USA Performer. I'm going to put this in the B category too. Really good. It was a good guitar, particularly when I was playing it acoustically. I like to play all my instruments acoustically first to get an idea of, are they resonant? How do they feel in the hands? Because stuff like that you can't really get out of an instrument. You can change how it sounds, but you can't really make it feel different. I like the neck on this. The finish on it is really good. It's not sticky at all. The finish on the body is quite thick. I'm more of a nitrocellulose kind of guy, but it was pretty, it was good. The problem I had with it was when I plugged it in, it just sounded boring. And Martin and I kind of agreed on this, that it's very neutral sounding. It reminds me of Yamaha guitars and their pickups. They sound like the instrument they're supposed to be, but they don't excite you. There's nothing about them to excite you tonally. It just sounded like a very neutral Stratty-like instrument. Again, great for gigging, and a good instrument to be changing the pickups out of it. If that had a nitro finish and the pickups were a little bit better, I might have gone for it because it was a good price and it felt good in the hands. But yeah, the sound was boring for me. Okay, they had this in the shop, which is a Player Plus 1991. Second hand, of course, being that old. Some interesting modern features like a roller nut and other things. But to me, it felt a lot like an American Standard from when I was a little bit younger, so maybe the early 2000s American Standard. Small neck, nothing really exciting for me. It does have lace sensor pickups, but yeah, wasn't really what I was looking for. Okay, Pro 2 Alder. I reckon that was a B for me as well. Really, it is a good instrument, definitely a good instrument. A little bit heavier than the Pine models, which we'll get onto in a minute. This one had a super low action, which maybe they do to show off, you could get the action super low on this, but it was actually quite, almost too low for me to play. Felt good overall. I like the neck profile on these. I like some of the features. The pickups generally sound pretty good. And I like this midnight finish, which I think is a limited run. It's really cool. But yeah, didn't excite me particularly. Didn't make me feel anything or inspire me to play in any way. Player Plus Stratocaster. Yeah, I reckon that's a C as well. And I mean, things in the C they're good instruments. In fact, I'm not sure any of these were Ds. They were all good instruments. If you were to go out and play any of these and give these to the majority of people who aren't super fussy like me, and aren't looking for those details and aren't comparing back to back so many instruments, I think they'd definitely enjoy this instrument. I like the fact that it had upgraded hardware and things like that. The neck profile is really playable for most people, which I think is something about the Player series, whether you're looking at the basses or the guitars, they're all just quite mid-of-the-road playable neck profiles. And, you know, not many people are going to pick it up and go, I can't play this because it's too skinny or it's too big. It's right in that Goldilocks area. And again, the only thing for me was that the pickups weren't that exciting. They are noiseless pickups, but they didn't feel as good as the American Ultra. This Player Plus is kind of like an Ultra, but made in Mexico. Good gigging instrument, not too heavy. It's good. Alrighty, Player Plus Nashville Telly. Well, if it's a Stratocaster list, we're going to put it in D because it doesn't sound anything like a Stratocaster, but it is marketed as a Telly, so that's not very fair. I'm going to put it in the C again as well. I love Tellys. I'm more of a Telly player. I go towards those sounds when I'm producing records for people, and yeah, it's a good Telly. It's a solid Telly, and pretty much exactly the same as the Strat version. It felt like a reliable gigging instrument, but not really like a Strat, and that's not what it's marketed as, so fair enough. Japan 57. This is another used instrument, Japanese, based on a kind of 57 reissue style. Similar to the US Performer, but I didn't like the neck profile as much. I didn't like the feel of it as much. It was a little bit just pedestrian, quite a pedestrian sounding instrument, pretty boring. And I kind of associate that with Japanese instruments. I think they're very neutral sounding, and they don't really have any specific voice that makes you want to go one way or the other. They're just very neutral platforms that you can just play whatever you want to on. But in that way, I don't find them very exciting. I don't find them very inspiring. A solid instrument, but just not for me. Vintera 50 is Roborn. Now this one is going to go right up here. It's going in the A category, I think, because I really like this instrument and it got down into the final few. I like the neck profile on this. It's chunky, and I like the fact that it's sanded down. It made me play in the way that I wanted to, and this is the thing. Some instruments will make you feel and play in a certain way and want to play in a certain way, and this one definitely did. Made me want to dig in a little bit more, play some kind of more southerny, rootsy kind of sounds, and it really does that well. I think if I was a gigging guitar player that was regularly gigging as a session player, I would play one of these out on gigs all the time. So I think it's a great gigging Strat. The only thing I didn't like about it was the finish. But two things: the pickups weren't as good as the Rarities I went for in the end, and also the finish. I really don't like it. It kind of looks like a plastic finish, as in not plastic like poly, but as in plastic, as in dull, fake. Doesn't look like a real worn guitar when you're up close. Also, it's a lot pinker than it looks in photos. It really is a very pink Fiesta red. And yeah, I might have gone for this and put the pickups into it. It's a lot cheaper than the guitar I went for in the end. So if you are on a budget and you want to save that money, and you expect you'll kind of go through a few different models and try different things, then yeah, I would go for that and maybe put different pickups in it. Not that the ones in it are bad, they're just kind of quite brash, and don't have the nuance that you know, a custom shop pickup does or a better Fender pickup does. And the only reason I didn't go for this is I didn't really want to repeat what I did before, which was to buy a classic 50s, back when they were the classic 50s basses, in Fiesta Red with a maple board, and then months later just went and bought a custom shop Fiesta Red P bass anyway. And I was just trying to avoid that here really, because that's what I'm like. That's just, you know, it was really good, but it was worth spending the extra for me to have the best sounding instrument I could, because I'll probably just keep this one instrument forever. Alright, American Ultra, definitely an A. This also made it into my final 3. I like this guitar a lot. If the final price hadn't been quite as close to the Rarities in the end, I might have gone for this. The oddity being that all of the guitars that made it into the final 3 were just very different in terms of their specs. They were all from different series and different ranges, but they all spoke to me and made me play in a way that I liked. The noises pickups definitely sound like a Strat, but they sound a little bit more airy to me, a little bit more scooped maybe in the high mids, and a bit brighter, very up, you know, right up top. It's a really good sound, and definitely a Strat sound, and not a vintage Strat sound. It's a more modern Strat sound. The neck felt great. I do like the necks on these, the compound radius and the change from, I think it goes from either 11 or 9.5 to 14 higher up the neck, and it's a D shape. Very, very playable, good feel. Yeah, it came really, really close as an instrument. Great instrument, and if you're gigging, it was pretty lightweight too. I liked it, and if the other ones hadn't been there, I may as well have gone for it. On the other hand, the Ultra Luxe, I didn't like this one at all, really. I'll put it down. It'd be unfair to put it as a C, because it was it? No, I didn't like it. I'll put it there. I just didn't like this one very much. I don't like the matching headstock at all. It's a black matching headstock on a Sunburst, which Fender are doing on their Aerodynes too, and I don't like that. Don't get it. Doesn't look good. And yeah, this one I picked it up and it just didn't work for me. Didn't gravitate toward. I didn't gravitate towards it. I prefer the normal Ultra, and for the price premium, no, not worth it for me. But it may well have been just that one. As I say, I tried multiple models of all of these, and they all varied. Rarities Flame Ash. This is the guitar I finally ended up with. That's going into the S, naturally, because it won. It is a heavy guitar. It's heavier than all the others. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. And it just felt inspiring to play. It just felt like the most inspiring instrument, and that was the thing for me. If you go into a room and play, well, like I said, I played over 20 different Stratocasters here, and this one was the one that inspired me the most, along with one other. The sounds when plugged in were the best out of the final 3 that I lined up, and that's why I went for it. I felt inspired. It sounded the best. And things like the fact it's a limited edition, it's potentially got that resale value down the road. It's probably the best looking as well, with the flame ash top. If you're into that, the flame ash top and the bird's eye maple, just amazing. And I mean, every day since I bought it, I've walked into the living room and looked at it on the wall and just kind of admired it, and then taken it off the wall and started playing. And that's the most important thing. If an instrument inspires you to play it more and get better and improve and dig into it, and then that's the instrument that you should buy. And that was it. I played it. It sounded best. And I mean, Martin, every time I played it, stuck his head in from the other room and went, "That's the best sounding. That's the sound." And yeah, it works well with my hands. That was it. That's the one. So that goes to the S. Okay, Pro 2 Rosewood Neck. I liked this. Yeah, it's probably a B. I like this. It's the rosewood neck thing felt good. It's kind of a very smooth finish on the neck. Overall, a good instrument. The Pro 2 pickups are definitely Strat-like. They've got a bit of vintage flavour, touch of modern as well in there. It's a good guitar. That's what I can say about that one, really. I would say that the pink, it's meant to be a pink, this version, but actually I think it's more of a white. well, in person it looked like a white. I didn't even know it was pink until I checked out the website and looked at the photos afterwards. Alright, Pro 2 Pine. This is going up in the A. This was kind of like the fourth guitar. This was the one of the ones that made it to the last few. This guitar was really lightweight. I liked the lightweight of both the Pine instruments that I played. I liked the rosewood pine one slightly more, I think, in the end, than this maple one here. But good neck profile. I like the neck profile. It's, again, a kind of Goldilocks profile. It's a bit like the player. That's kind of what it is, you know. The professional and the player, they're kind of the Mexican version and the American version of a similar guitar. And they're marketed to be used by everybody. You know, most people can pick them up and enjoy them. And this one is definitely that. Good output on the pickups, a good sound, but maybe not quite the sound I was looking for. Not probably as vintage and fat as I was looking for. But yeah, good guitar. And again, another one that I'd be very happy to gig, especially because of the lightweight. Alright, factory special run 60s Vintera. Yeah, this can go in the C category. I didn't like this one that much. This one wasn't as resonant as the other Vinteras. It has a matching headstock, which looks pretty cool. But I find I'm a bit bored of this colour combination on Strats. I love it on jazz basses, but on Strats I find it a bit dull now. Pickups wise, it just wasn't as exciting as some of the other Vintera models. And yeah, it was an averagely good guitar. I mean, the neck profile's pretty comfortable. Yeah, but pretty average for me. Yeah, not the one for me. AV70s. Now, yeah, for me, I'm probably going to put it in the same category. I didn't love it. I found it quite boring. Matching black headstock it has, but quite glossy feel on the neck, quite glossy finish, and didn't sound very exciting at all. Didn't do anything for me. It's got a 3-bolt neck. This is from 2015, so it's more of the anniversary reissue style, the older vintage style Fenders. But yeah, not for me, unfortunately, and not very exciting. Quite similar to the Japanese one, to be honest, in that way. And the skinniest neck, I think, out of all of these, probably the 70s. 60s Vintera, I'm going to put into the B category. I found these really resonant. There were a couple of these, and both the 50s and the 60s ones were very resonant. In fact, I've missed out the ordinary 50s vintage. Yeah, the ordinary 50s non-modified Vintera 50s would definitely go in the B. A lovely resonant guitar with a maple neck. Sorry I've missed that one out. So yeah, that's 19 different models I tried, plus a few more. Yeah, that would go into the B category. That one was really resonant. And the same goes for this 60s model. I didn't like the neck as much as this. I like the 50s profiles a little bit more. But yeah, good profile on this. I actually preferred it to the Row one, as you can see. And overall, I think they're pretty good gigging guitars if you're after something with a slightly more vintage profile. Again, pickups are the thing that we're lacking on these. But I've kind of come to the conclusion that if you're going to buy a Mexican Fender, generally you want to buy that and then look down the line to change out the pickups to something a little bit punchier. Maybe a custom shop set, maybe some Lolas, maybe something else. I think these guitars really lend themselves to that, but they are very good. Just guitars on their own, just pieces of wood, they're great. And as I say, the 50s Vintera particularly was of note. Stupidly, I've missed it out. And then the Custom Shop Deluxe Classic is also going in the super category. This played really nicely and played really well, but you know, the price difference was just another 1,000 too far for me to justify. It's really cool. It's got a really old school feel with slightly modern features. It's got a cutaway at the back of the neck, a bit more like you'd find on a Sir or an Anderson, or on the Ultra models. It also had a lovely neck profile. Pretty sure it had a compound radius, so it changed as you go up the neck. Yeah, this was a great guitar and a good weight as well, not super heavy. But for me, I couldn't really justify the extra over the Rarities. You know, it's another in excess of £1,000 over the Rarities. And I'm not, you know, primarily a guitar player. I don't just play guitar. It's there to give me a sound for a certain, record or whatever. And so that extra price is kind of not justifiable. The Rarities is kind of like a custom shop, but built in the main shop. And the Closet Classic is a custom shop instrument, team built custom shop instrument, a lovely instrument. But yeah, it's the extra price that couldn't be justified. It's not that much better than the Rarities. I think particularly with the Rarities, it will definitely grow into it a bit more as I play it more. So yeah, it definitely is deserving of being up in that S category. If you've got the money to buy one of those and spend on one of those, definitely check this one out. So there we go. That's kind of my full tier list. I don't think I'm going to move anything retrospectively. Having a bit of a debate, maybe that 60s Vintera should come down. I think maybe the 50s one was the one that spoke to me a little bit more. But that's me. My preferences. I think the 60s would generally speak to more people in terms of their neck profile and shape. But I think I'm more of a vintage leaning person when it comes to Fender. My P-Bass has got a 50s style neck. And yeah, I mean, weirdly I went with the 60s in the end. So, it really is a case-by-case basis, and every neck's different. Every model is different. And you really have to get them in your hands and try them. And what might be great on your specific instrument might not be great on another instrument, which is why, like I say, just go and try them out, get them in your hands, and try different models and different individual instruments as much as possible. So yeah, that's it. To recap, we've got the Rarities and the Flame Ash Top. Sorry, the Rarities with the Flame Ash Top in the Super, and the Custom Shop Deluxe Closet Classic. The Vintera 50s Rosewood, the American Ultra, and the Pro 2 Pine all made it to the A category. And they were the last few in my shootout. In the B category, we've got the Vintera Modified 50s, the USA Performer, the Pro 2 Alder, and the Pro 2 with a rosewood neck, factory special run, and also the 50s Vintera model in general. And then in the C, we've got the 60s Rosewood, Fender Stratocaster Plus 1991, I think it is called, Strat Plus 1991, the Player Plus, the Player Plus Natural Telly, the Japanese 57 reissue from 2004, the Ultra Luxe, American Ultra Luxe Strat, the factory special run 60s Vintera, the anniversary reissue, American Vintage reissue 70s Strat, and then the 60s Vintera 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and which Fender guitars particularly spoke to you. And yeah, it'd be good to get a conversation going. If you like this video, do hit the subscribe button. All opinions are my own, and definitely certain guitars speak to different people and work better with different people, and that is what this list and trying this many guitars really exemplifies. But yeah, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.